Welcome to part 3 of our Canadian adventure. After visiting the Plains of Abraham, we jumped in our car and travelled the very short distance up the St. Lawrence River to the beautiful Montmorency Falls. This fabulous natural phenomena occurs where the River Montmorency joins the St. Lawrence River. We arrive at the information centre at the top of the falls and take the cable car down to the bottom.
We're in a cable car. Don't know how that happened.
The falls have a total drop of 83 metres or 272 feet. In his poem Sleep and Poetry, written in 1816, John Keats says that human life is a poor Indian's sleep, while his boat hastens to the monstrous steep of Montmorency.
I hope you can hear me. There's a bit of running water behind us. It's called the Montmorency Falls. Let me just zoom up.
Smaller than Niagara, but so much less spoiled. It's fabulous, isn't it?
It's gorgeous, yeah. We're now going to start a climb of about 35,000 steps. So
turn around.
I'll turn around so you can see the stairs. Well, maybe 250, something like that.
In the winter, there is a natural phenomenon known in French as le pain de sucre. It is caused by the water vapour at the foot of the falls freezing and building up to this amazing shape. We visited at the end of September, and on that day, with the blue sky, it was 26 degrees. As you may have spotted from the previous images, there is a pedestrian bridge across the top of the falls, and to her credit and despite her fear of heights, Pip came with me as we crossed it.
Clinging on for dear life though.
We had a fabulous time at Montmorency, but it was soon time to jump back in the car, retrace our steps to Québec City, and then follow the St. Lawrence River to Riviere Du Loup.
So here we see Philippa driving on the left of the car and on the right side of the road.
Mostly.
And then out of the window you get a feel for, sorry about my finger there, you get a feel for just how amazing the colours are.
journey to Riviere Du Loup was about 130 miles, which in this country would have taken some time, but because the roads were so quiet and relatively straight, it passed very, very quickly.
But we still felt like we needed a Tim Hortons break at the end. At the end of September, the last thing on our minds was Christmas, but just before we went for a walk next to the St. Lawrence River, this is what we found. Riviere Du Loup is a small city on the St. Lawrence River. It's only got about 20,000 people. You can see why the city developed. It's situated right on the southern edge of the St. Lawrence River up a very attractive inlet. And it's also where two major highways meet. We will be taking one of these highways later this day, heading into New Brunswick. And I'm sure we're not the first travellers to have done the same. The French name for this city originates from the nearby Wolf River. It seemed that wherever there was an outdoor space on our trip, we found an Adirondack chair. First created in America in the early 20th century, the chair is named after the Adirondack Mountains in upstate New York. Their popularity grew quickly, particularly in sanitariums where the wide arms forced the sitter to open their chest, so helping tuberculosis patients. I was going to say, from the impression that we got of our visit, that not a lot happened in Riviere Du Loup. But in 1950, a United States Air Force B-50 bomber carrying a nuclear device suffered engine troubles over the city and dropped the bomb. Whilst the bomb was destroyed in a non-nuclear explosion before it reached the ground, it scattered 100 pounds or 45 kilograms of uranium across the city. Our walkover, it was time to leave Riviere Du Loup and head for Grand Falls in New Brunswick. Our journey to Grand Falls was about 106 miles, and it took us parallel and very close to the American border and the state of Maine.
Still in the province of Quebec. We just got some petrol. That was a bit of a challenge because we couldn't read properly what was on the petrol pump and how to do it. We're now driving towards New Brunswick, where they speak English. Woohoo! And Rob is at the helm today, or at the wheel rather. So we've had a nice time in Riviere Du Loup, and now we're heading towards Grand Falls, New Brunswick. It's a bit cloudy today, and the temperature a couple of days ago was 27. Today the high is 10. So go figure.
How would you define a moose intrusion? The little town of St. Louis du Haha apparently is the only place in the world that has 2 exclamation marks.
There's my finger. Here we are, Rob's driving, and this is Lake Temiscouata. I think that's how you say it. We're leaving Quebec shortly and going into New Brunswick.
Grand Falls is a town in New Brunswick that sits on the St. John River. Its name comes from a waterfall created by a series of rock ledges where the river drops 23 metres or 75 feet. This image, courtesy of Larry Dickinson, shows the river in the spring, just after the melt. At one time, the falls would have looked dramatic for a lot longer, but that was before a hydroelectric pipe was placed in the river upstream, diverting a lot of the water. So this was the image when we arrived. More Petit Falls than Grand Falls, I think. Nevertheless, the entire area was still really beautiful. Being situated close to both Quebec and the American border, Grand Falls was often the subject of territorial disputes. These were finally allayed in the 1838 Webster-Ashburton Treaty, which ceded the territory to New Brunswick. We were given a very warm welcome at our guest house, owned by a lady who was clearly a collector. That night we enjoyed dinner at a gorgeous steakhouse overlooking the St. John River. Having pretty much seen all there was to see in Grand Falls, the next morning we recommenced our journey south to the Bay of Fundy and the little village of Chamcook. We wanted to break up the journey down to Chamcook, and after a little bit of research, Pip found an amazing visitor attraction. Welcome to King's Landing. King's Landing is a representation of rural New Brunswick during the 19th and early 20th century. When the head pond for the Mactaquac Dam was being built, many buildings would have been lost had they not been saved and moved to this site. Having been in continuous development since the 1960s, many other buildings were pulled from other parts of New Brunswick to create what we now see in King's Landing. If you're in the area, it really is worth a visit. Very Anne of Green Gables, isn't it? Wow. The lady's just making us some coffees behind the bar. What are you burning there? Is that coal?
Yep, so this is coal here.
Oh, okay.
Stock with the quarter. I'm at a 1/4 inch round stock, so you gotta improvise.
Gotta make it.
There you go. So you can sort of see those corners are knocked down. It's a little rounder. Oh,
Yeah, no.
should be able to fit through.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Squirt it around.
The whole village was really fascinating, not least the people who were dressed up in period costume. They kept up the pretense all the way through. Whenever we asked them a question, they always referred to your time and our time. Our visit ended with an authentic lunch served by a wench in a white apron. Well, we'll end this video in King's Landing. We continue our journey on to Chamcook and beyond in the next video. Join us then.